Hi guys, Reverend Crystal Cox here, Goddess Church. This is part of the Port Townsend homeless series. It's giving you my experience. This video is about what's happening at the fairgrounds. Okay, if you don't know, see, Port Townsend Free Press posts pictures quite often. There's a lot of talk, apparently last year, I don't know the time frame, but a couple hundred police complaints, right? Just chaos, right? So, as I've said in a prior video, I've owned my own real estate company for 20 years. My license, my managing broker, my firm is inactive now. I'm focusing on my spiritual work. And as you know, I live in a vehicle. So, I had real estate offices in several states. One thing about real estate law that's very important in this issue, my opinion, my experience, is the right to quiet enjoyment. Personal property rights are law, okay? And especially when you're paying the kind of taxes that you have to pay to own property in Port Townsend. So if you buy property near the fairgrounds and you're harassed by people who are mentally ill and violent, okay? I don't believe in the regular traditional mental system. Psychiatrists, we'll go into that another day. But the prescription drugs that some of these folks take, the antidepressants, make them violent, okay? Police can't deal with them, right? Yes, we could use, the people in the cars in Port Townsend, there's a lot more than you could ever know, they need a safe place to park. A place where they could go to the bathroom at night would be great. Plug in some sort of heater, bathing, changing. That would be great. The Port Townsend Fairgrounds seems like it might be a great idea for that. But those of us, there's quite a few, like I said, people that live in cars. Some that I've talked to, some that I haven't. But you can pay me enough to stay out there. There is no way I will park out there. It's not safe, okay? So the people that are out there, they know each other. They're safe with each other. But to have that kind of a mess at a fairgrounds and the property owners around it, they have rights. They should not be being ignored. They're paying for the wages of the police, right? They have a right to safety, right? These people, some of these, okay, so meth, heroine, and certain prescription antidepressants give a super strength, right? The cops can't handle them, can't shoot them. You can't, what are you going to do? What options do the police have? What options does the neighborhood have? Okay? There's an issue, and it's not a homeless issue. So don't lump what's going on at the fairgrounds with all homeless people. Okay? There's the shelter, there's the people that live in the woods, there's the people that live in the cars, there's low-income people, there's people who rent rooms. There's a lot of layers of issues here. But if someone is having a mental issue where they're violent and they're interfering with the live and let live or the personal property rights of other people, that's not okay. All right? And if the county and the local government, the city, says it's okay, right, you're paying the wages of all these people. Okay, so what can be done about it? Well, first of all, I've read in the Port Townsend Free Press site that, I don't know if this is true, but that people are coming from other places. Okay, so first of all, like, Hawaii. If you go to Hawaii and you find yourself homeless, they'll fly you back to your home state. Okay, Port Townsend homeless issue is for Port Townsend. So if you don't have some sort of a driver's license or card or bill or receipt track or vehicle registration, something that you are a Port Townsend community member, and I don't mean productive or any of that, I don't believe in any of that crap, sorry, but if you don't live here, then the taxpayers, the people, the police, the property people shouldn't have to absorb your what goes on with you. Okay, so I totally am for the rights of the property owners around the fairgrounds, and it's a mess, and people are like, oh, well, it's messy, and those campers are getting moisture, and they're not getting heat, so I guess they're not plugged into electricity, so they're just there, okay? That's a dangerous situation. Now, downtown, a lot of those folks used to park downtown, okay? drug deals coming and going in campers. The police be chasing people. They'd be up on top of. I saw that one night. It was so funny, right? This guy, this camper. I mean, obviously they're doing drug deals, right? There's something weird going down, and the police come down there, down by Velocity or whatever the camper was parked. I was walking around, and this guy, he's running around. He's outrunning the police, and they don't see him, right? And he climbs up on top of the camper, this big RV, kind of like something out of Breaking Bad, and he's just hiding up there for. Well, anyway, past the time the police were gone, and it's just, you know, you watch this stuff play out. A few months back, someone was downtown, shot a gun, right, down there by Velocity. I just was sitting in the car, you know, waiting. I'm like, my spiritual guidance that I checked in with was to do nothing. So I just waited to see what transpired. The police did end up coming down about 20 minutes later, but the person was gone, and I think they were just blowing off steam, right? But they almost backed into me. I don't know what. I think the Great Spirit intervened because they were flying back, and I looked out the window, I'm like, hey, they're going to hit. So I just kind of laid down and waited, and then they were gone. So there are things that happen, and that's not necessarily happening downtown anymore because, how do I word this? There's a certain people have moved out to the fairgrounds, okay? So I don't know there's a lot of older women, and I consider myself an older woman, not older, but I'm 50, right? There's a lot of women that live in cars in Port Townsend all around, just women alone. And I don't think they're going to park out there, okay? Because of the drugs and the violence and the mental issues and the prescription drugs and the heroin, okay? So that place needs to be cleaned up. Okay, so, but what do you do? What are the laws, okay? The police just go out there and then they just break everything up, okay? Break it up. What? The police's hands tied, everybody's hands tied, okay? So if they're not from here, they need to be sent back to the county they're from. This is my personal feeling on what's going on. I don't think that's a homeless issue, okay? That's a whole other issue. If people are interfering with other people's rights, it's not all right. If you're homeless and you're drinking so much or doing something or on even a prescription antidepressant that's making you violent in the streets or violent with other people, then what do? I mean, I don't believe in committing people, but if they're on those drugs and they're violent and they're hurting other people, something needs to be done about those people. But what the conversation is they're lumping them together with the homeless, and they're mad at the homeless because the homeless gets the money and they don't work, and you know what I've said in prior videos. But what's happening out there is different. It does look cleaned up in some of the videos, but you still have tarps, you still have older mobile homes and all that. And yeah, give them a place. I'm from Montana. I'm a hillbilly, redneck, whatever. I don't mind living like that. You know, I grew up in a single wide trailer house. It was different. But what's happening out there is not okay, and it is unsightly. Okay, so there is issues here of like who gets to say what a property looks like. But in this instance, everybody gets to say it, right? Because it's a county fairgrounds. So you all have a say of what goes on there because you all live and pay taxes in the county. And the people that border it have personal property rights. They have a right to quiet enjoyment. And if the county or the city is going to force that on them, then don't make them pay taxes too. So they're paying these high taxes, right? Or you pay a whole bunch of money for Port Townsend real estate that's out of control. And you have to have that next to you? Okay, so this is not just like someone like me parking near your house, okay? There's some violent people. Okay, there's some bad things going on. So every person needs to be held accountable for their own actions and live and let live, okay? So what's going on at the fairgrounds, it needs some solutions. And it does violate people's rights, in my opinion. And I don't think it's a homeless issue. I know you might think it is. But people are homeless, like myself, that, yeah, I'd like to live indoors, but I'm not going to live in a verbally or a verbally abused place, or place where people are abusive to their children, or a place where I'm not comfortable, just rent a room just to be indoors and sacrifice my mental health, okay? So rent a room for like $600 to just have all these rules and all this. No, thank you. I'd rather be in a car. But so when you're lumping all the Port Townsend homeless together, these people who choose to be homeless, who live in a vehicle, who live in a van, who live in a camper, they've sold their stuff and they've moved into this lifestyle because it's more affordable. Some of them don't necessarily want housing or aren't looking for housing. They're, I don't like the term regular people, but people like me, people who care about other people, people who have driver's license, have passports, have a post office box, aren't harassing other people, aren't creating a big mess in other people's view, which is fine on your personal property. I totally believe that you have that right. But the fairgrounds is not personal property. And so that's actually kind of looking bad in a way on the rest of the homeless people, that so they're lumping them together. So that's the one if I can only get one message across to folks, it's that homeless people are people. Right, so that each person is individual. Some of them are heroin addicts. Some of them, I've known people that have come to Port Townsend and weren't. Maybe they drank or whatever. Girlfriend left. This one particular guy was working on a building downtown. He was just a really neat guy, really neat couple. Had all these big dreams. She left him. He got in clearly in heroin, and it obviously changed him, right? But it's illegal, right? So why can't these people be arrested? Why can't they be held accountable? And why do those folks reflect on folks like me that could use some help, right? There's people, on the Port Townsend community site and a lot of the different sites that, people that talk about living in cars in Port Townsend. Maybe you could help them. Maybe you could give them some gas money or a safe place to park, or say, you know what, hey, park somewhere near my house. That's okay, that's good, or whatever. Give them a shower now and then, a place to do laundry maybe. Those folks are different than people who are have issues or prescription drugs make them violent, or these mental health issues that are hurting cops. Like in the article, the Port Townsend, I keep saying Fort, because of Fort Worth and Fort Townsend. The Port Townsend Free Press keeps these articles about, I even forgot my thought. Anyway, people need to be accountable for their actions, and don't judge what people that are on heroin and have mental health issues are doing and then lump them together with all of Port Townsend's homeless, all of Port Townsend's low income. Each person is individual with individual experiences, individual preferences, individual life experiences, and individual accountability. Okay? If you do what you want, be left alone, man. Don't harm them. But if they're harming you or your rights, then what? You just have to take it? No. So there needs to be accountability. And what's happening because of the eviction moratorium or whatever, I'm not parking there, right? And now I have a commercial location for my church, and I pay the rent, right? I'm not, I keep losing my train. I'm just saying it's not okay that these people, that's what I was going to say about the Port Townsend site, that article about the police, that man that got hurt by one of the mental issues with one of the homeless, right? So it's a super strength on some of these drugs. And they want to bring in a social worker and a navigator. Okay, getting money to the actual homeless that they just don't live in a home, they live in a car. Or they don't live in a home, they live in a tent. The longer you're homeless, the more you go a little bit out there and you look down and you're shamed and you can't bathe and you layer and you don't want to look at people. It changes you, okay? So they might have been in the system a long time and be to that level. But I really like that Port Townsend Free Press article about the officer getting injured. I like what it shows, that there is a super strength, there is a violence. The officer had saved the nurse, but I don't believe in, I'll say tranquilizers. I don't believe in that system. But there are some people that are very, very violent, and what do you do? So, and we find that in more of the angst between the public, let's call them the public, and the homeless, which are the public too, is because of issues like this, where people are doing abusive and violent things and they're not held accountable. So then they lump all the homeless together as this is an issue. So there is more public tension growing because of what's going on at the fairgrounds. That don't reflect on any of us live in cars, or the people that live in tents, or even the people at the shelter. What's going on at the fairgrounds is a whole different thing, and you can't evict them because of COVID, right? I think there's a lot more to that, and there needs to be a lot more accountability. Maybe some lawsuits. Maybe the some people are going to get mad at me, but somebody's going to get mad at me anyway. But the people around the fairgrounds could maybe do a class action lawsuit against the county or the city. I don't know if that's in city limits, but for property rights, because they have the right to quiet enjoyment. They have personal property rights per real estate law. And so for them to make that decision with the county property and violate all of their rights, there's an issue there that needs to be cleared up. I don't have all the solutions, but they're not to be lumped together with all of homeless. And the fact that people can just park out there with campers or tents, that's great. That's a beautiful thing. But that's not the type of people. I don't know who's out there. If you're out there and you're listening to this, I'm not judging you. I'm just saying that people have rights, and also the article had said that people were coming in from other towns and other counties and other states to stay there. They're like, hey, there's this free place to stay and they can't evict you. That's not okay. They need to be not necessarily ran out of town, but told, you know what? Nope. Yeah, there was an eviction moratorium, but you don't live here, right? So you're not. We don't have to take you into the womb of the county. We don't have to bring you in and take care of you. You're not ours. You're not part of our community. You're not part of who we take care of because you're not part of the community. So if someone moves here, are they then part of the community? Well, maybe, but with this eviction moratorium and everything, I mean, who does it apply to? I mean, can everybody from everywhere just come down and live at the fairgrounds? I mean, I wouldn't park out there. There's no way I would feel safe out there. And granted, there's probably some really cool people out there. Matter of fact, I know that there is. But if you're not and every part of society has little cliques and stuff, and I just myself don't feel safe out there. And I know quite a few women who live in vehicles in town who don't feel safe out there. So don't lump them all together. So there's the fairgrounds issue. There's the people that don't have vehicles, campers, tents, that live at the shelter. There's people who live in tents at around Kai Tai and around behind Les Schwab or whatever. And then there's people that live in cars in lots of locations. Okay? So there's different circumstances, so this video basically, per my experience with real estate law and my experience with being homeless in Port Townsend, they're a whole different element. Okay, and I don't have a solution, but I just wanted to say a few things about it because I don't think it's okay. What's going on is creating a bubbling up violence, almost like a little civil war. And so it's putting all of us homeless on one side and all of the other people on the other side. But that's not a thing. Okay? Every person is individual and has individual accountability. So if the police have been called out hundreds of times to the fairgrounds for some incident, who's not being held accountable for what? If they're committing crimes, what? How is this going on and whose issue is this? It's not reflecting on the homeless population in general. It's not reflecting on the Port Townsend community. But if you all of a sudden have this this group of people that move in next door and you're not safe and you have to call the police all the time and there's loud and there's chaos and there's drugs, that's not okay. Not only is it not okay, it's on county property. So there's a lot of issues that need to be worked out there, but they're not Port Townsend homeless issues. That's a whole different can of worms that's going on out there. I don't have a solution. I just wanted to give you my perspective because, because I'm yapping about Port Townsend homeless stuff. So, all right. God bless you.